Howdy y'all and welcome. I hope everybody's doing well out there so far. And as we take a look at the risk or hazardous temperatures here coming up, since we are well past first day of fall and it hasn't really been feeling like it is actually going to be feeling like it here very soon. As you can see, we're going to be dealing with a slight risk for very cool temperatures here in the Mountain West from the 14th into the 15th. Now, if you think that this is going to stretch its way down into the eastern part of the country, I think you're wrong, because as we take a look at the Climate Protection Center's 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we can see that much of the country is still going to remain above average all the way out through the 16th. And of course, here in the Mountain West, up in the Northwest, down into California and Arizona, it's going to be well below average, which is right in alignment with what the risk of hazardous temperatures was saying. Now, going out even longer term than that, it's looking like a little bit of that warmer air is going to start to creep in a little bit, but still remaining below average here in the Northwest, while the rest of the country is still going to be remaining above average, although we could potentially be feeling the chill in the air here very soon. Now, keep in mind, 8 to 14 day outlook is very far out, so please take that with a grain of salt, but let's go ahead and take a look at the GFS to take a look at the temperatures, and then we'll get into the tropics, as those are starting to heat up as well, and Hawaii is starting to come in on what's called wet season down there. So look at today, it's looking like actually much of the country is going to be pretty warm out there. So soak it in, as I don't think it's going to be lasting much longer. Of course, tonight's going to be getting a little bit chilly out there. There is some frost advisories issued and frost warnings, so be mindful of that. If you have any plants that are still outside, might get some frost tonight and tomorrow night as well. And it's looking like we're actually just going to remain warm for quite a while, actually. The Northwest is looking to get really chilly here very soon, especially as we head into this weekend. And then once we get out of this weekend, you can see that, y'all? The pinks and the bright whites. You can see that's right around, I would say, 30 to 20 to almost single-digit temperatures here up by Idaho and western Montana. So it's going to be getting real chilly fast out there, y'all. And there might be even some snowfall as well. And it's looking like that air is going to creep down towards the east into the central plains, which could spark severe weather. We are in the midst of our second severe weather season here in the central plains anyway, so we could have severe weather here in the central part of the country and potential snow up in the Rockies, which isn't too unusual. We did get snow up there, I think this time last year. I know I was watching a Vince Welty stream, and there was some snowfall up in the Colorado Rockies right around the beginning of November, so it's really not too unusual to see snowfall this time of year, but it is a sight for sore eyes, especially for people who love fall and don't like winter. So I guess if you are getting snow up there, then enjoy some snowfall and send me some pictures if you want to. But further we go out, the more uncertainty there is, but it's looking like the temperature trend is heading towards a cooler trend. So according to my thumbnail, we're going to be warm in the short term, and then we're going to be heading into a very cool trend as we end the month of October. And in my October outlook, I did say that same thing, so it's looking like it's pretty spot on. So don't get used to these warm temperatures just yet, although you're drinking the pumpkin spice lattes out there thinking, oh, it ain't gonna be getting cold soon, it's still warm out here. You're wrong, because it's gonna be getting very frigid here as we head towards the end of October, and that chilly air is looking to stick around. Now, before we get into the precipitation outlook of what we could expect, let's go ahead and get into the tropics. As we have Jerry, good old Jerry out there, spinning along. And let's actually pull up the warnings cone and static image here to show y'all even closer up. We can see that currently a tropical storm and potentially heading into a hurricane by Wednesday evening. And where it goes from Friday evening into Saturday morning is to be determined, but if this holds true, it's looking like it's going to avoid the U.S., may cause dangerous ocean conditions over here by these islands, and may affect Bermuda. I would give this probably a 95% chance of this remaining a fish storm. Y'all may have noticed on social media that I have been putting a fish storm scale out there, so something pretty fun I've been doing here lately, and hopefully y'all are getting a kick out of that. But I would issue a 95% chance of Jerry remaining a fish storm. And as we take a look back at the key messages here, see Jerry's forecast to pass near or just north of the northern Leeward Islands Thursday night and into Friday. So people there should monitor the progress of the storm, as there is a risk of wind, surf, and rainfall impacts. Obviously, watch are going to be required potentially for those islands and maybe even Bermuda. And I'll be keeping y'all posted, of course, on X and Facebook like I always do, so just keep that in mind. As well as hurricane season is starting to wind down. Now, what about the Pacific Basin? That has been a very active hurricane season out there, and it's looking like there's a couple storms out there. We have Priscilla, which is a hurricane. We have Octave, which is a tropical storm. These are expected to do the do-si-do and impact the Baja and bring a lot of heavy rainfall here to the desert southwest, where y'all don't really see that much rain, but it's looking like it will bring a lot of rainfall y'all's way as we head past this weekend. So definitely be mindful of what will be Tropical Depression Priscilla as it heads y'all's way. Now, what about Octave? It's also looking like it's going to be heading towards western Mexico, remaining a tropical storm though all the way out through Thursday. Then it's going to weaken down into a tropical depression, and the reason behind that is because I'm thinking there's some cool waters out there, which let's go ahead and actually get into that. And we're going to take a look at the Pacific Basin first, and then we'll get into Jerry here in a little bit. But we can see out here in the Pacific Basin, Hawaii's coming in on their wet season, of course. And take a look at the satellite here. We can see Priscilla going to be impacting the Baja and bringing a lot of rainfall here to the southwest part of the United States. And we can see Octave out there as well, expected to do the do-si-do with Priscilla and just bring a whole bunch of problems here to western Mexico, the Baja, and the southwestern part of the country. Now, as far as the sea surface temperatures go, did mention that. As of today, we can see that the sea surface temperatures are starting to cool down here in western Mexico as Priscilla is working over those favorable sea surface temperatures. Expect that to cool down even further as Priscilla moves towards the north, and that's why it's expected to turn into a tropical depression by this weekend, is because it's interacting with those very cool waters out there, and even though it's going to be weakening down, it's still going to be causing a lot of problems. It's going to be bringing a lot of rainfall, like I keep saying, over here to Southern California and into southern Arizona and potentially into New Mexico as well. And this could potentially move towards the central U.S. and bring snowfall and severe weather potentially. We'll get into that here in a little bit though. But we can see as we head further out, the waters are definitely going to be starting to become unfavorable as we head further and further into October. Now, what about the models? Well, as we take a look at the simulated infrared, this only takes us out so far, but paints a pretty good picture of what we could expect for the next week or so, which is pretty spot on because usually anything over a week out's pretty much impossible to forecast anyways. We can see Priscilla, it's going to be moving towards the north. It's currently a major hurricane, but expected to weaken down probably later today and into tomorrow, I would say, as it interacts with those cooler waters out there, weakens down, and then it directly affects Southern California, Arizona, and potentially moves eastward and causes some severe weather here in the central part of the country and dumps a whole bunch of snowfall potentially in the upper elevations of the Rockies. And we rewind this, you can see Octave actually behind that as well, doing the do-si-do with it and affecting the Baja and Mexico. But once those move out, it's not like much is going to be happening out there other than Hawaii coming in on a wet season. Now, I know y'all are probably curious as to what will happen after a week. Well, we see, of course, Priscilla and Octave out there going to be fizzling out by the middle of next week. And then it's looking like not much is going to be happening out there other than Hawaii coming in on a lot of rainfall and just wet season pretty much. And how much rain is Hawaii going to be getting in on? I know y'all are probably wondering that as well. Hawaii, all the way out through next weekend, you can see definitely coming in on wet season for Hawaii. Going to be coming in on a lot of precipitation. So definitely be aware of that if you live along the island chain or heading out on a vacation out here, as I know most schools are heading into fall breaks, so definitely be mindful, pack an umbrella if you're heading out there. Don't let the rain deter you from taking a nice vacation out to Hawaii. So now that I beat the dead horse on the Pacific Basin, let's go ahead and get into Jerry, as that is expected to turn into a hurricane as we head into this weekend. And currently it's not expected to impact the United States any. May bring some dangerous ocean conditions along the East Coast, Atlantic Canada, and even these islands over here, and maybe even impact Bermuda, but I'm not expecting Jerry to impact anybody. I'm giving it a probably 95% chance of it remaining a fish storm. Let's go ahead and get into that first, and then we'll take a look at the sea surface temperatures, and we'll get into the Saharan Desert. We'll see if that interacts with it at all. Now first, we're going to take a look at the GFS, like we did with the Pacific Basin, and take a look at the simulated infrared. This one takes us out so far, like I mentioned earlier, but we can see Jerry out there, currently a tropical storm, expected to turn into a hurricane by Thursday and into Friday, may bring some dangerous conditions to these Leeward Islands. And then from here, it It's to be determined as to where it will go. It'll either continue its trek towards the west, impact the east coast, or it'll recurve, impact Bermuda, and head out to sea and maybe impact Europe. I'd give that probably a 10% chance of impacting Europe, because we did have a tropical storm impact Europe, I think was a week or two ago, and could have the same story here, but currently not expected to hit the United States. Expected to bring dangerous conditions to the Leeward Islands, East Coast, Atlantic Canada, and maybe even impact Bermuda, with a 95% chance of it remaining a fish storm like I mentioned earlier. Now, as far as if there'll be any more activity out there, well, we can see currently on the long range model here, expected to recurve as we head into and past this weekend. And after that weekends down and moves out, it's not looking like any sort of systems are going to be affecting us here, at least in the long term anyway. We might have a couple disturbances, and of course, the further we go out, the more uncertainty there is, of course. Now, is Saharan dust going to play a role in weakening down Jerry? Well, we can see we do have Saharan dust out there in the main development region, but Jerry is approximately right here and is not interacting with it at all currently. Now, that's not to say it won't. It might. And we can see that Jerry's currently right here with Saharan dust right behind it, so I think Jerry's getting pretty lucky, but I think it's going to get wrapped in Saharan dust as we head into and especially past this weekend, which is going to result in it weakening down and sort of going away from there. Now, be keeping y'all posted on X and Facebook to determine whether or not it will remain a fish storm or head towards the United States. But my best guess is it'll remain a fish storm, maybe impact Bermuda, but I'm thinking it's going to be recurving, heading out to sea, and may impact Europe in the long term. Now, as far as the sea surface temperatures go, further we head out, now we are well past the meat and potatoes of hurricane season, and hurricane season is starting to wind down. But we can see that, of course, the Gulf is not as favorable as it once was, but still pretty favorable for this time of year. Main development region is pretty favorable, but expected to get worked over by Jerry and become less favorable as we head further and further into October. And it's when hurricane season is going to start to wind down, is in November. So I think once Jerry moves out, I think we're going to be in the clear as far as hurricane season goes. I think we're not going to have many hurricanes at all this year. Actually, some good news. We did predict a above normal hurricane season, which there was a lot of tropical activity out there, but nothing impacting the United States any, which we'll take it. Not complaining here. Now, what does the Climate Prediction Center say about the tropics? Well, it's saying that the Atlantic Basin is going to start to quiet down as we head into the middle and end of October, which is pretty spot on once Jerry moves out. We crickets out there, and the Pacific Basin is looking to quiet down as well. We might have some activity here in Central America, though, impacting Mexico, and that might be it, though, from there. So that's looking like hurricane season is starting to wind down, y'all, so that's some good news, and that's a sign of winter coming. And speaking of winter, I will have my winter outlook up potentially next week. I'll let y'all know, though. Maybe on the 18th I'll have it up, but again, I'll let y'all know. I'm currently working on the research part of the video, and I may not even include the facts and folklore, as that does make the video longer, and I know even most of y'all don't like the longer form videos. I'll keep it short and as informative as possible, so again, stay tuned for that. So now that I've blabbed enough about the tropics and the temperatures, let's go ahead and get into the precipitation of what we could expect for the next couple of weeks. As far as the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook goes, it's looking like from the 12th through the 16th. Kind of a mixed bag out there, as really much of the country is going to be heading into an above average precipitation pattern, especially down here in the southwest, as we have Octave and Priscilla moving through, bringing a lot of precipitation to the desert southwest, while the southern half of the country here from Texas up into the Ohio Valley and even down here by Florida is going to be drying out. Looks like a little sliver of California is going to be dry, as well as up here in Maine. Now, the further we go out, the more uncertainty there is, but if we trust the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, it's looking like much of the same story, really. Much of the country is going to be above average, while the southern half and over here by California is going to be below average. Looking like the northeast is heading into an above average trend, though. If we take a look at the risk of heavy precipitation by the Climate Prediction Center, we can see the areas that are going to be getting in on a lot of heavy precipitation, mainly down here in the desert southwest, as there's a moderate risk issued, mainly because of Priscilla and Octave moving through, which may result in severe weather and snowfall here over by Colorado, Kansas, and Oklahoma. So let's go ahead and get into that. Now we can see today we got Octave and Priscilla down here, of course, doing the spinaroonie. And we got a lot of heavy precipitation going on here in the Ohio Valley. It's pretty much a dreary day out here at the Williams Weather headquarters, but we'll take it. It has been very dry here lately. And it's looking like it's going to start to dry out a tad out there as we head into Thursday and into Friday, but don't get used to the quiet weather, because usually when it's quiet out there, usually something big happens, and it will. We can see the desert southwest going to be coming in on a lot of precipitation, as I said earlier, and we can see some snow up here in southwest Canada and northwest United States. And this is going to play a role in our weather pattern as we head into late next week. We can see there is some severe weather here, central part of the country, and there's some snowfall up here in the Colorado Rockies all the way up into the northern plains. Now this can will change. It's over 100 and some hours out, but it still can happen because we are in the midst of our second severe of the season, and we can get snowfall this time of year. Now, it's looking like we could be dealing with a multi-day severe weather potential outbreak. I put in air quotes outbreak because it might not even be an outbreak. It may just be just a couple of days of a lot of heavy rainfall, but we can see that we're going to be dealing with a lot of heavy snowfall up in the upper elevations of the Rockies and northern plains, and it's just going to be a very dreary week next week. It's looking like here in the central and southern plains, and it's looking like it will be a wintry mess out there in the Colorado Rockies and up here by Wyoming as well. And once that moves out, it's looking to be back into a drying pattern as we head into late next week. And then it's looking like the northeast could be coming in on a dreary pattern, which could mean very windy, rainy, and some snowy conditions could occur as well. And of course, the further we go out, the more uncertainty there is. Now let's go ahead and get into the snowfall rates, and then we'll get into the severe weather parameters here in a little bit. Now for this winter, we're going to be using the National Blended Models and the National Weather Service model to take a look at our snow totals. We're not going to be using any sort of fancy snow model here. We don't do that here at Williams Weather. We just rely on the trusted sources here because we don't like clickbait. But we can see that as we head into next week, gonna be definitely coming in on some snowfall here in the Mountain West, so that's some exciting news if you're a snow lover. I personally just want one snowfall here at the Williams Weather headquarters, and then I'm good. Once that's done, then I want it gone. But if you have any snowfall pictures, send them my way, and I'm thinking some ski resorts might be opening here soon as well, so you can see that gonna be a good snowpack out there in the Mountain West. And I did see on social media that there's going to be a lot of snowfall potentially this winter. Now, can will change. Please keep that in mind. But looks like we could potentially have a snowy winter, and the Mountain West calls first dibs on the snow this year. And we can see just this here. And I know it's a sight for sore eyes for the non-winter lovers, but if you're a winter lover, of course, you are soaking this all in. And as far as precipitation goes, since there is going to be Priscilla and Octave moving through, bringing a lot of precipitation down here into the desert southwest, we can see that it's going to be well over 2 inches of rainfall. Some areas getting in almost 3 inches, so definitely be aware of this if you live down there. It's not something you see very often. So again, live in a low-lying area, please be aware of this. See a flooded roadway, of course, please turn around and do not drown. And as far as severe weather goes, since we are in our second severe weather season, let's shift this to the central part of the country and take a look at the Euro model. Since this shows us our lightning flash density rate, this shows us where the most intense storms could fire up at. It doesn't show us our tornado parameters, but it does show us where the most intense storms are going to be firing up at. Pushes to Tuesday and into Wednesday when there's supposed to be severe weather potentially here in the central part of the country and snowfall up here in the Rocky Mountains and up by Wyoming and northern plains. Not really much information here this far out. It's pretty far out when it comes to the models, but definitely going to be potentially coming in on some severe weather here in the central and northern plains as we head into next week. I'll keep y'all posted though, and just as a refresher here, I know this is a different models show different things, but you can see as we head into next week, going to be coming in on heavy snowfall here in the Rocky Mountains, of course. That has been pretty persistent, but what hasn't been very persistent is where the severe weather is going to be at. Of course, we can't predict severe weather over a week out. It's pretty much impossible, but see there's definitely going to be potential severe anywhere here in the central, northern, and potentially in the southern plains. So again, I know I keep repeating myself, but I'll be letting y'all know when there's going to be severe weather here in the long term. So I'll zoom this out here and show y'all the precipitation totals of what you could expect for this week. We can see where the rain's going to be and where it's not. You can see here in the Ohio Valley, Majority of this rain is going to be falling here as I'm doing this video here on Tuesday. And after that, I don't think much is going to be happening. The jackpot of rain is going to be here in the desert southwest up into the Rocky Mountains. And as far as the snow totals go, there's going to be any snow this week. See, there is going to be some snow up here in the northwest. So if you have any snowfall pictures you want to send my way, send it over my X and Facebook pages. I would greatly appreciate that. And if there's any ski resorts opening, then get out there and enjoy those as well. So in summary, basically, it's looking like the western part of the country is going to be coming in on a cool down, while the rest of the country is going to be unseasonably warm here in the short term. Long term, I'm expecting that cool air to stretch down, but I'm not expecting it to be a bitterly cold air here in the eastern part of the country. It's still going to be remaining above average, but I think it's summer's last hurrah, as we are going to be going from pretty much hot to cold, pretty much summer to winter pretty much. I don't think we're going to have much in the way of fall-like temperatures here in the long term, as I think it's going to be getting cold before we know it. That's why in the thumbnail I put that it's going to be warm from now, but cold is pretty much here to stay. And it's looking like the Mountain West, it's going to be staying cold out there, more like winter out there. As far as precipitation goes, it's looking like much of the country is going to be heading into an above average pattern, especially down here in the southwest as Priscilla and Octave move through, bringing y'all upwards of 2 inches of rainfall, which could result in an uptick in some severe weather here in the plains as we head into next week, as well as some snowfall here in the upper elevations of the Rocky Mountains and even in the plains as well. So we could have severe weather one day here in the plains, and the next day we could have backside snow, so be aware of that. That can happen this time of year. Long term, I think we're going to start to dry out, but on average, I think it's going to be above normal as far as precipitation goes for much of the country, unless you live down here from Texas on over into South Carolina. So basically, it's going to be warmer than normal here, but then it's going to be getting cold, and then we're going to be coming in on what's called wet season as we head further into October, and hurricane season starting to wind down as well, as we have Jerry out here in the Atlantic, which is expected to recurve and move out. 95% chance of it being a fish storm, and after that, I think we're going to start to wind down in activity. Here in the Pacific Basin, Hawaii's coming in on wet season. No hurricanes or tropical storms are going to be affecting y'all here in the short and long term, but out here in the eastern Pacific, we have Octave and Priscilla, which after those move through and bring heavy precipitation and potential severe weather here in the southwest and central part of the country, and snowfall in the upper elevations of the Rockies, I think we're going to start to quiet down as far as tropical activity goes in both the Pacific and Atlantic Basin. So, if you stayed this far in the video, I'd like to thank y'all. And as a thank you, show y'all the birdcast. The bird migration. I've been hearing a lot of birds moving down south, especially those geese. Those geese are definitely moving down south. We have upwards of 429 million birds projected to move through tonight. I don't know how they get their number, but that's what's projected to move through tonight. On Hump Day, over 424 million birds. And on good old Thursday, a little bit less, but still quite a bit. 314 million moving through. And last night, we had over 400 million birds moving through, according to this live map here. Of course, after midnight, majority of them move through. We can see the number picks up after midnight. Right around 400 million birds moving through. So make sure you turn those lights off out there for those birds. Those birds get confused when they see lights. So definitely from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m., make sure you turn as many lights off as possible to help those birds move through. You can see even better here. These guys are dangerous for those birds, so definitely be mindful of that. As far as the fall foliage goes, definitely seeing more color out there at the Williams Weather headquarters. Although pretty dreary out there today, but expected to dry out here in the long term. You can see the Mountain West almost past peak out there. The Smoky Mountains are starting to come in on peak fall foliage down there, so I'll be heading down there probably within the next couple of years to get y'all some fall foliage. May not be next year, but maybe the following year I'll go down there, but I'll let y'all know when I do get some fall foliage pictures from down there, of course. As we head into further this week, let's say a week from now, probably the 14th on Tuesday, getting even more color out there, y'all. And I'll be doing what's called the persimmon seed forecast again. That'll probably be included in my winter outlook, so I'll be letting y'all know on that as well. I do already have a persimmon seed forecast up, part 1 of 3 anyway. I'll be doing one this month, I'll be doing one next month, and potentially one in December. So stay tuned again for that. As we did get some spoons in our persimmon seeds, so could have a very snowy winter, y'all. And one last thing before I let y'all go, we are 23 days away from Halloween, and I have been working on something special for y'all. I'm working on a short film that's sort of related to Christine with my own little twist on it. This Corvette is actually possessed in this film, but more information will follow very soon. I'll have this uploaded at the end of this month, as I actually have all the images ready to go. They're all ready for animation and lip syncing, all that fun stuff. So if you see me not posting very much, that's why. I'll do my best to post as much as I can about Jerry and the rest of those tropical storms out there in the Pacific and the snow and the severe weather here very soon. So please bear with me. I'll do my best to post as much weather content as I can on there, but I can't promise anything. So again, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you hit that like and share button so more folks are informed about the weather. Also, leave me some feedback in the comment section down below, as feedback helps provide you, the viewer, better and more informative content in the future. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, as here always weather, we try to make weather forecasting fun and informative. So again, like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy this nice warm weather while it lasts if you like the warm weather, because it's looking like it's going to be getting cold out here very soon, and an active weather pattern could be shaping up as well. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all y'all for watching, and until next time, never stop forecasting.